Hello everybody, this is Peter at BobCAD V UK, and what I want to do today is take you through a machining exercise. And what I'd like to do is machine this up in BobCAD. So what I'll do is I'll take you through the stages of machining this up and show you how we'd machine it in BobCAD. So first thing I'm going to do is just right click and create a new job. I'm going to do some milling. The machine I'm using is that, and what I need to do is put the stop wizard on. So if I select stop wizard, I'm going to create a rectangular block, and you can see now it's picked up the size of the material to produce this component, and it's taking it from the model. I'm happy where it is at the moment. That's where I want it to be. So if I select next, and what it's asking me to do is to pick the origin. Now at the moment it's got the origin on that left hand corner. I could pick the top of the job, which is on the center line. So if I wanted to pick this, what I can do is go and pick the origin, highlight the point, and you can see now I've got my origin set in the center, which is where I want it to be. I'm going to give it some clearance above there as my rapid position of 20, and select OK, and we've now created the stock material around this component. So what we're going to do next is we're going to put an operation in. So as you can see now I'm in the machine setup. I'm going to right click and I'm going to put a 3-axis toolpath in. I'm going to select the geometry, which is the component, right click, select OK. Next, rapid, 10mm above the job. I'm just going to put 5mm clearance. I'll say top of the job's got 0.2 on. Next, I'm going to do an advanced rough. Next, work offset, which is G54. I want to arc fit, in other words, is any arcs instead of lines. I'm going to use arc fit. Next, I'm going to put a 10mm cutter in. I'm going to put a 1mm corner rad, so we've got a 10mm with a 1mm bull nose cutter. Select next. I'm going to do adaptive. Next, I'm going to come down in 10mm depths of cut, and I'm going to put 1.5 as my side step. I actually want to come back in 1mm cut, so I'm going to divide that by 10, and I'm going to leave 0.5. Next, 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 and compute. So it'll just take a few minutes to compute it. So you can see we've computed the toolpath. So what I'll do is we'll just simulate that. So if I go into modules, simulation, and as you can see now it's put the block in with the toolpath. So I'll just hide the toolpath, just slow it down a little bit, and what I'll do is start running it. Now you can see it's cutting on the side, and it's cutting 10mm depth of cut, and it's going to spiral its way inwards using that 1.5 side step. So if we speed it up, you can see it goes all the way around, then it comes to the next level, and now you can see it's stepping up in 1mm cuts, and it's cutting out that top shape. It'll do a trapezoidal toolpath across there in high speed, and then it'll come back and rough it out. So you can see it's roughed out the component. We can do a comparison between the model. I'm going to use deviation, select next. So what happens now, it'll come up with a different colour, showing you the different where it's left material on. Now you can see the top of that is green because we've said the top is the top, and you can see down here where it's left material in with the different colours. So we've roughed it out, so what we want to do next is we want to do some planar toolpaths across it. Just view that as it is, and we'll close that down, and then what we'll do now is we'll put a planar toolpath on. So we've created the roughing toolpath, so what I want to do now is do a semi-finished toolpath. What I'll do is I'll just turn the stock off, and I can go into their feature and I can blank out the toolpath so we can't see the toolpath. So what I need to do now is create another feature to machine this top surface, and we'll use this as a semi-rougher. So if I go into the machine setup, I'm going to insert a mill 3 axis. I'm going to select the geometry, press the space bar, select next. I'm going to say rapid's going to be 10. I'm going to leave that at 5. Top of the job is 0. Next. What I want to do is I want to do a planar toolpath. Select next. Work offset number 1. Next. I'm going to use myself. We'll use 10mm ball nose to rough it out. So I'm just going to work on the fly. I've got a 10 diameter, and I'm going to put a 5 radius in there. Select next. I'm going to use zigzag rather than zig. Zig lifts it up and it comes back over. So zigzag, it stays on the form, stepping over. We've got an angle of 90 degrees, and we're going to climb mill. Select next. I'm going to do a step over. Let's create this as a 0.5 step over, and we want to leave in there 0.3. Select next. Yep, next. We're going to plunge in. Next. Extent, so we're just going to go up to the edge. Select next, and we're going to follow so it stays down rather than lifts off. You can see if we go into horizontal and vertical, it'll lift off and come on, lift off and come off. Well, we want it to follow, we want it to stay down. So if I go into compute, this will just take a little while to compute. You can see now we've created a toolpath. Now I've got it going this way, as you can see. It's going across the angle that way, and I want to change the angle. I want it to go the other way. So if I just go into here and edit the feature, I can go into the pattern and I can change that and make that 0. And all I need to do then is just compute the toolpath. And you can see now we're going across it that way. So if we simulate that now as a pre-roughing operation, so if I go into modules, simulation, just take the toolpath off. Now you can see here I've got the advanced rough, which we saw, and we've got the planar. Well, I don't want to run through the advanced rough again, so all I need to do is just click that, and what it'll do, the verification will just come along. And you can see now it's got rid. So what we're going to do now is just follow the semi-rough with this cutter. So if I select start, you can see now where it's just stepping over. Let's speed that up. Doing a 0.5 step over, and it's leaving 0.3 in. So take out some of that weight off the rad in there. So I'll just speed that up to the end. And you can see now it's come to the end. We'll do a verification to make sure there's material on there. deviation, and then what I'm going to do then is tell it to refresh. That's on operation number, sorry, let's go to deviation. There's the values for the deviation, and there you can see you're leaving material on, it's not green yet. So what we're going to do then is we're going to do a finishing toolpath to finish that. So what I'll do now is I'll blank that toolpath out. I don't want to see that toolpath, so if I just blank it. What we want to do now is we want to do a finishing toolpath with an 8mm ball nose cutter. So if we go into machine setup, create 3-axis, select the geometry, highlight the geometry that I'm selecting, hit the space bar, next, once again 10 and 2 off the job, top of the job is 0, next, planar again, or I could have duplicated that operation, I'll show you that as well. So next, we're going to use an 8mm ball, formula rad. Next, we're doing zigzag, we'll go over at 0 degrees, or we could have gone over at 40. Let's do it at 45 degrees. In some instances you will apply it that way. So we're not doing zig, we're doing zigzag. I'm going to climb mill, next, step over, let's say call it a point, 0.2, leaving nothing in. You can machining tolerance, you can adjust this. And there you see the computed toolpath. So if we go back in and let's simulate that again. So if we go into modules, simulation, let's turn the toolpath off. Let's hit this button here because I've already seen that. I want to go down to that one. So the verification, it saves you a lot of time in the simulation side, where the verification just does everything for you. And you can see now we're ready to run that. So if I did actually put it at an angle, so if we run it now, you can see now it's coming across at 45 degrees. So if I speed that process up, of course it takes a lot longer, but sometimes you need to come across it at an angle rather than at 0 degrees or 90 degrees. But in this instance I've done it at 45 degrees. So we'll wind it up to the end. So now if we have a look at what we've got, so if we go into A, we go into deviation, and there you can see it's machined up the component using an angle of 45 degrees. Now one of the great things in BobCAD is you can see here where we've just not quite got the edge. I'd like to come a little bit further. Well, it's quite easy to do in BobCAD, I'll show you. We'll come out of there, okay, and I'll just blank the toolpath. Last time I explained how we could do this a different way. I'm actually going to right click and delete this feature, and then what I could have done then is gone into there and I could have I could have copy feature, and then I could go into there, right click, and I could paste feature. You can see I've pasted the same feature as I've done there. So all I need to do is just go back in and reselect the geometry. And what we can do then is just edit it, because we need to edit the next, plane here, next, and this time we're using an 8mm, 4mm rad, next. We're going to do that at 45 degrees as we said, and we're using zigzag, next, step over, 0.2, leaving nothing on, next, next, extents, next, follow, and we can just compute it. So as you can see, we can just create features and copy features. Let me blank that out for a minute now. Let's just blank. Okay, many machinists want to actually come off the job rather than come onto the job. So what you can do is you can extend surfaces in BobCAD. So if we're going to extend, surface extension, I'm just going to give it 4mm. And if I come on the edge here, you'll see pick the edge up, and I want to extend that out 4mm, which is what I've got. Select, and it's all going normal to the surface. Select OK, and then what I want to do is I want to do the same on that edge. I want to come out 4mm. Select OK, and I want to do the same on this edge. Come out 4mm, and I want to do the same on this edge here. Just pick the edge. There we go, and select OK. Now you can see now I've extended it, extended all the surfaces normal to the contour. So all I need to do then is go back into here, and what I'm going to do is remove that geometry, and then I'm going to reselect the geometry. So all I'm going to do now is pick everything, right click, select OK, and then just tell it all I need to do is compute the toolpath. Just take a minute, and if I right click and unblank the toolpath, now you can see now it's come further out of the component to machine up. If we have a look again in the simulation, so if we go modules, simulation, turn off the toolpath, let the verification, saves you waiting for everything. Okay, that's where we were at before. If I just slow it down now and run it, you can see now it's come off the job. It's not on the job, it's come away from the job. So we speed it up. And you can see you've gone beyond the surface. It's going to give you a nice edge. Just fast forward that along. And you can see you won't have any issues there because you've gone past the surface. So you can see in BobCAD it's quite easy to extend the surface. If we go in and do the deviation, there you can see you've got a nice crisp sharp corners around your component. So if I close that down and we just blank that toolpath, blank, you can see how we've extended them surfaces. So hopefully that'll help you get started. A quick introduction into how to machine that component. You may not machine it the same way, but hopefully I've given you some ideas of how to machine something like that. Hopefully that helps you get started, and thank you for watching.